Young Sheldon's 10 most unforgettably funny lines. These memes are snippets of some of the funniest banter that young Sheldon has to offer. With Mayim Bialik being a hot topic in recent media news, both The Big Bang Theory, where she was a main cast member, and her guest role in Young Sheldon have reminded viewers why these shows have continued to be so prevalent. Sheldon's extremely complex character goes all the way back to his childhood, as he learns and tries to understand human emotion, which doesn't make much sense to him. Even as a child, you can see him struggle to work out his own family's interests and emotions, and, while usually unintentionally, it can lead to some really funny responses on his part. Sheldon Cooper's catchphrase throughout the entirety of The Big Bang Theory, other than "That's my spot," was the comical repetition of Sheldon exclaiming "Bazinga" every time he either outsmarted his friends or a rare prank produced exceptional results. Originally, there was little to no explanation as to where the phrase "Bazinga" came from until the writers of Young Sheldon decided to delight fans with its origin story. It's funny to see that regardless of Sheldon's status as a child genius, he, just like any other child, is heavily influenced by childhood experiences that become a part of him just as much as comic books and superheroes have. As Sheldon is constantly interacting and in the presence of adults and older professors, he has grown far more mature than others his age, due in large part to his extreme intelligence and supreme confidence in the knowledge that he has amassed. Sheldon's interaction with Dorothy shows that he has no fear of speaking to adults, as he is unquestioningly more knowledgeable than they are. And to Sheldon, knowledge is power and supersedes age as a factor to determine the qualification of making sound judgments, which often leads him to arrogant yet sound opinions. This hilarious quote shows Sheldon has always been unafraid to self-importantly assert himself ever since he was a child, and that his future friends aren't the only ones that have had to put up with his antics. Some of Sheldon's greatest possessions are his impressively large comic book collection, which he slowly amasses from childhood well into adulthood. While many comics are intended for a more mature audience, that is most definitely not the case for all comics, as seen when Sheldon protests to Casper, the friendly ghost, being taken. His mother, a very devout Christian woman, and one of the funniest characters on Young Sheldon, is upset at some superhero comics, such as DC's Batman, having bloody and adult content. While she has a point, she most definitely is taking a more drastic approach. This causes Sheldon to respond and show the double standard that his comics cannot be violent, yet the Bible can. Sheldon pointing out this contradiction, leaving his mother in shock that he actually has a point, was a genius writing move and an excellent bit of comedy. Sheldon's family is often exasperated with Sheldon's more pedantic quirks, as he is quite different than the average child. His siblings especially struggle, as they of course love him, yet are constantly having to bend to Sheldon's wishes, as he will become increasingly more difficult the less he gets his way. Like in this instance where Sheldon refuses to watch DuckTales, to the dismay of Missy, arguably the best of Sheldon's two siblings. This joke has double the fun. On top of him preferring more educational tips, he is also a lover of comic books, which are often pure entertainment. It's fun to both see Missy frustrated with Sheldon, as well as him contradicting himself, without even knowing it, as the majority of his future interests focus on video games and comic book movies, which are purely entertainment. Sheldon and his family are deeply religious Texans, and though they have more than their fair share of problems, they still make an effort to be together whenever possible. Sheldon's father and grandma, George Cooper and Mema respectively, often argue with one another. Whenever these two fight, which happens often, neither is above taking accurate, yet cheap shots at one another. It's often the case that the fights between these two are objectively more enjoyable to watch than Sheldon's usual antics. The actors for Mema and George Cooper have mastered comedic timing, creating excellent back-and-forth comedy. If not obvious from the beginning, Sheldon has never been one to be physically active or gifted, and while he is a very intelligent child, his knowledge of martial arts and fighting never goes beyond the theoretical. Many children around Sheldon, his siblings especially, use the fact that they are more physically gifted to bully and torment him. The hilarious moment is when even Sheldon realizes no matter how much he learns, just throwing the book would be more effective in his case. It hammers home that Sheldon is a book-smart person when he believes the smartest choice is to literally use the book. Sheldon's mind, like many notable genie before him, is often ahead of the times and cannot be easily comprehended by those around him. It was the beginning of Sheldon's many scientific and mathematical contributions to the scientific community. Sheldon has little confidence in physical situations, yet his scientific and mathematical knowledge has given him supreme confidence in believing that he is always right. This instance is not the first and certainly isn't the last case in which Sheldon brushes off the disbelief of others, believing he is far above them intellectually, which he often is. Sheldon's "I don't have time for this" attitude is a nice callback and foreshadowing to the events in The Big Bang Theory, where he does this often enough it's a miracle Leonard doesn't attack him as much as he should. While Sheldon is undeniably the star of Young Sheldon, his family members have more than enough opportunities to take the spotlight and shine. While Sheldon's sister Missy has nowhere near the genius intellect of her younger brother, she often shows how intelligent she is with her sarcastic humor. Sheldon's mother often argues about the entertainment content Missy, Sheldon, and Georgie enjoy, as she believes that many are not appropriate for anyone, much less her children. Though she may have a point that it isn't the most educational, she can't say that her children are suffering learning-wise as seen by Missy's quick, yet not exactly helpful, remarks. While Mary Cooper worries how these shows affect her children's ability to learn, Missy proves undoubtedly it hasn't stunted her quick wit. Missy is the more relaxed of the three siblings and arguably the one who has the least troublemaking tendencies when compared to her two brothers, as she is usually smart enough to keep herself out of most trouble. She tends not to bother with things that don't concern her. When told the family needed to talk, Missy quickly confirms that it essentially has nothing to do with anything that would concern or benefit her and immediately loses interest. Her lackadaisical attitude has often gotten her either into or out of trouble, but has always been hilarious. This conversation snippet displays Missy's quality of not involving herself in things that don't immediately concern her, and is a nice counter to Sheldon's insistence on involving himself in everything. Though his great intelligence has often led to his confusion in determining whether something is morally right or wrong, Sheldon is not totally oblivious. Even he has the most basic understanding of right and wrong. More than just being morally and lawfully wrong, Sheldon doesn't steal because he sees no point in doing it. As he exclaims, "I already have a sparkling personality," he believes such a petty crime is beneath him and is confused about why he would be accused of it. While simply a quirk for Sheldon, his viewpoint of not doing something because in the long run will not benefit him is a way to both deliver a joke, as well as potentially teaching a life lesson. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Young Sheldon 24, and stay with us.